This has been a long time coming. I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah.
As you already know, the title of the podcast is having an honest conversation with a red-pilled woman.
Oh.
Just because
Controversial.
it's controversial, but it's true, and it is interesting because there's not a lot of you out there.
Yeah. Do you know the backstory of, like, in the forums and stuff about red pill women? Have you ever read them? Oh.
No.
Ooh, this is good.
What do you got for us?
Okay, so there's this thing, shout out to Ryan Stone, but this forum called, it's like the Sandbox, and it talks about, I'm sure you've heard of it, it talks about the different hierarchies in the workplace between men themselves and then what happens when you bring a woman in. Women come into these spaces for one of three things: to be the first female, attention; second, male validation; or three, they're married to a red pill guy. So trad cons and that sort of a thing. So just to even say a woman's red pill, there's people that are going to be like, that doesn't exist. So that's kind of the backstory.
Oh, well, let's start with this. What is red pill?
Oh, God. You're going to make me answer that? Do we know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way. I mean, yeah, obviously, there's so much to it, but I think there's a way to sum it up in a few sentences. I think I could, but I want to hear what you think.
I am the worst person when it comes to defining some of this stuff, but I would say red pill is just becoming aware. It's to be aware of what's actually going on in the world. It can be relationships, it could be economics, it could be values, religion. It depends on where you want to apply it, but I think you can apply it to anything.
The quote-unquote truth, the reality of things, and the reality of things in juxtaposition with, because it's like, what's black without white, right? So it's like red pill exists because there's something happening where there's another so-called what people think is the truth, but it's really a smokescreen.
Yeah, that's so true. That was better.
Well, I guess.
Gotta
and
love
then
men.
there's, what'd you say? Did I just mansplain you?
I think you did.
I fucking hate that word.
I hate all the words that the feminists come up with. I swear. They're horrible.
The reason why I hate it is not because I'm a man and that it's a diss towards me. Maybe that's part of it a little bit, but it doesn't make any sense.
I know. Does any of it? Honestly.
Not really.
A lot of it is just they come up, and I'm not like hating on any group. I'm not going to make it political, but there's been all these words popping up that never existed prior, and it just seems like when they disagree with something, they come up with a new terminology for it to make it seem like it was in history. I don't know. Did that make sense?
It does, but to be fair, you could say the red pill's doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Like the word hypergamy. Like, I don't know. That could have been, that's a
been
new
around for a
term-ish.
while. No,
well,
it's been
exactly
around.
What you said. It's been around for a while. Well, yeah, mansplaining has not been around for a while.
Well, it's always been around according to them because they think that patriarchy is some tyrannical. Never mind. They've always
This
seen
is
it.
good. No, this is good. Okay, so, and then how would you define or summarize red pill in conjunction with dating, sex relationships?
The red pill space, I'll say, is where men go to find other men who have the same struggles that they have in dating. People think that the red pill is this incel group, and they're not wrong entirely. We do foster some of those folks. You can't live with them, can't live without them, you know? But I wouldn't say that it's like a hate group. I think it's just where men go to swap notes, what they say.
For sure. I think that there's a part of the red pill community that is a hate group. You know, if you go to like the black pill side or MGTOW, I think there's some extremists. I think there's also some people.
Yeah.
If you go to Reddit, there's married red pill. What's it called?
Oh, red pill wives.
No,
The
it's for
married
men.
red pill. Oh yeah.
It's for men. So it's people who they obviously don't hate women. They're unplugged to the reality of the nature of women, and they're using that to make sure their marriage works.
Yeah, actually, I've used that sort of recently. I was like, red pill is where you go to fix your marriage. It's where you go to learn how to make your relationships better. It's not what people think, where it's like, let's use women. Yeah, I just realized I just said that recently, and it went viral.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so. I've never heard it that way. It's very true.
Yeah,
It's
dread,
very true.
baby.
Yeah.
I heart dread.
Dread. Oh my God.
I'm
tell
waiting to
the
get
guys
merch
what
that
dread
says
is.
that. Dread. Now there's like soft dread. Dread is just kind of when you withhold attention from the woman to create some form of anxiety, light anxiety, not a lot, because if you do it too much, it could really ruin a relationship, but just to get her kind of chasing back or to get her worried about losing you. But people do it inevitably in relationships. They just might not know that there's terminology to it. I love dread. I think it saves a lot of marriages, to be honest with you.
I feel like I'm the king of taking some of these red pill concepts and not and softening it to be applicable to people dating and relationships wise. So it almost like could sound blue pill, but it's not. It's red pill. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So what you just said here with dread. So here's my like taking that and giving advice on that.
Yeah.
So I'd probably quote something from Esther Perel, who is a famous. Do you know who that is? Psychologist.
No.
Okay, so she wrote a book called The Mating in Captivity. Okay, so a lot of that.
I do know who this is. Yeah.
Yeah, old. I think she's French. I could get that wrong. She's a European. I'll just start there. European in her 60s, maybe 70s at this point, and she wrote a book called Mating in Captivity. And part of the book talks about the fact that the reason why desire in relationships die is because two people who fall in love, they spend so much time together, they enmesh themselves, they end up knowing every little thing about each other. And because of that, right, the opposite, that's like the opposite of dread. Because of that, desire starts to die. Really quickly. So my advice would be, it's like, to maintain a relationship, well, a few things. One, you need variety because women are emotional and they need more stimulation. So that's a whole separate. But also, two, is trying not to spend a lot of time with your wife.
Yeah.
And if you spend too much time and you're always with each other, doing everything together, desire is going to die. And for a guy, it might be fine. For a woman, it's not going to be fine.
No, we need stability and spontaneity in the same person. Yeah. It's really difficult.
That's why there's black pill and MGTOW who've given up, because that's, to them, that's like fucking crazy.
Well, it's not. That's when you implement dread. That's why I love dread.
What would be a way that a guy would implement dread?
So this is probably not going to be politically correct, but let's say that your wife got... Okay. Let's say your wife got fat. You want to be attracted to her, but you're not. How do you get her to go to the gym? So what you can do is implement some dread by going to the gym maybe after work and going there yourself for 2 hours, let's say. And eventually she's going to think that you're cheating the longer you stay there and work out. But really, you're just getting fit, whatever. But eventually she's going to want to go with you. Every single woman on this planet. I don't care if she is 300 pounds. She is, when that cheating instinct kicks, she wants to go with you. And now she's going to the gym with you. That's like a little bit of where I see it applicable in that area that's kind of like, you don't want to dump your wife because she got fat, you know?
I was having a conversation. I was with my wife, and one of my close friends who was a female, and we were out to dinner the other night. And so again, I'm with two females here, and we had a few glasses of wine. I wanted to start some shit. So I was just for fun.
So my favorite. I love eavesdropping on this stuff.
Just because I have like, I'm just really tapping into some of these ideas of like sexual market value, and it's really exciting me because I think it's really interesting, and I feel like I have so many good points, and I just don't always have an outlet to talk about this stuff, even on like a podcast. I mean, in terms of conversationally, right?
Yeah.
So,
are they even honest though? Is a real question.
Or what?
You know
honest?
what I mean? Women, when you have these conversations, because there's a lot of things that I would think I do, but I'm aware to know that it's probably not.
Well, I'll say this: we got somewhere. We got somewhere.
Really?
So I think, I don't know, unless everyone was putting on a show. But so what ended up happening was my friend who's single. We were talking about the dating app, so that's why it came up, and I was like, all right, I want to talk about this. So so we had a whole debate because I've been talking about this on my TikToks and things like that, and stirring up some shit there. And
it's always a good time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so the women hate me on TikTok, and I don't care at all. So I start saying to my friend, who's like 5 foot, maybe 5'1". Well, okay, actually no, it starts like this. She starts off and she totally admits. She goes, "Yeah, I just want a guy over 6 feet." And I go,
Why?
"You're ridiculous." I called her out. I go, "You're ridiculous. You're 5'1".
Yeah. Like, save him for the tall bitches, you know?
Right. I go, 5'8"
swing?
towers over you, 5'6" towers over you, even if you're in heels. And she's like, "I know, it's ridiculous." And she was admitting, she goes, "I really should go for men under 6 feet." So then that's when I started some shit. I was like, okay, let's talk about this for a second. I go, I believe that guys should be adding a couple of inches to their dating profile. I just said that. So what do you think about that?
I've said that too. I've agreed. Lie. Just lie.
100%.
Sometimes it's just they ask you and there's no way to get around it. The apps, the algorithm will favor you the taller you are. Lie. The only problem that comes in is if you're... So I've dated a jockey who is shorter than me, which is kind of rare. That's like the guy that rides the horses in the races, Derby Day, that sort of a thing. And so he was talking about the apps too before, and he's like, at one point they just will ban you if you lie and the woman reports it. So that's news to me. I just figured that out.
Really?
People are getting reported for lying about their height, but guys are like reporting women that are trans. Isn't that wild?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's a can of worms. We probably shouldn't go into.
I think that they should if they're lying about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I really
It's
respect.
controversial.
It is, and I have no problem saying any of this. I really respect the trans people who say on their profile that they're trans.
Right.
Thank you. You should. Hey, some people will be into that. Some people won't.
A lot of guys are into it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it might not seem like it on the app, but if I had $1 for every time the guys at the bar would go with the trans women, I'd be rich. Like, it's just like the apps are, you're shopping for a partner. You need to go out in real life and see what's actually happening at like bars, for instance, because it's not exactly what you think.
Right.
It's actually a lot better.
So in this conversation with my friend and my wife alongside me, I said, the reason why I think they should do that, and that wasn't too controversial for them. You know, my friend was like, yeah, you know what? I assume they're lying anyways. And a lot of women have been saying that to me on social media. Yeah, I assume they're doing that and all that. And I said, yeah. And I said, listen, I think it's totally okay to do that because women are basically doing the same thing, if not worse, with their filters and their makeup. And it's like that woman looks drastically different with and without makeup. And again, I don't care, by the way. Women should wear makeup. They should look their best. It's the dating market. That's what they should do. But guys should then also do the same thing. So
I mean,
where
should guys have a scale at the door when she walks in? You know, why are they discriminating against height on something they can't change? I love my short kings. I always vouch for them.
I love it.
Seriously.
Me too.
It like really bothers me. Like the 6 feet and up guys don't even have anything in their profile. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
They don't have
That's
to.
a problem.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really interesting that you brought that up, because that was the next topic. It was, I said maybe there should be, if there's going to be height, there should be weight for a woman.
absolutely, 100%, 110%.
And then you know what she said? My friend said, she goes, all right, well then there should be weight for men. I go, okay, that's fine, but you guys don't care as much.
Women are fatter, I think.
What do you
Actually,
mean?
it might be guys. Percentage, demographic wise, I think.
Oh,
women
that's
are
an
fatter.
interesting statistic.
Well, to be fair, I know women are supposed to have a higher fat percentage in order to carry babies, but I don't see any babies. So for that,
Right. Okay, I'm looking this up. Over 70 million
it
adults
might be
in
like
the U.S.
49% women.
Men had an
whatever.
age-adjusted rate of 37.9, and women had an age-adjusted rate of 41.1. I don't know. It's the same thing. But the point is that I don't think a woman is going to care as much that a guy's a little bit overweight or
Yeah.
chubby
Yeah.
in terms of how that compares to if a man cares, because of how much more visual we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I
but then
agree.
again, I don't know.
well,
Maybe that goes against red pill too, because a lot of red pill community thinks that women are just after, supreme looks, status, height.
we're actually
money.
the same. Women are the same. They've done studies back in like the 90s. I can't remember exactly the name of the psychologist, but I'll find it for you. You can maybe insert it, whatever, in the description. But it pretty much said that what women would say they go for, things like confidence, good job, whatever, was actually faulty, because they realized women went for looks. This was before the OkCupid stats. This was like way before, and nobody's talking about it. And I think it's a really big deal that women they inherently go for looks, if not the same, a little bit less than men, but it's right there. Women are actually a lot more visual than people are putting out. So I hate to give a little juice to the black pill folks, but like, women are very visual, whether or not they instinctively are aware of it or not.
So the study that you're talking about, that you're referencing, says that women are more visual.
But they say they go for confidence. So it was a study that also said, it was like the first one that showed women don't really mean what they say. It hooked up, I think it hooked up I forget what it's called. It's a device that can track women's sexual arousal. And so, and I know what you're thinking. Well, arousal and partner, it's different. But when it came to short-term mating strategies, we know women go for looks.
That's
but
true.
We talk about the short-term mating strategy, but I would make the argument that most women they date in order to find a husband. That goes against red pill. But I'm telling you, I think most women do. The problem is those guys are not committing. So what is short-term in the literature, I think, is attempted at long-term. I don't know. That's one of those things that I guess I think it might be I just have a different paradigm, but I've seen it firsthand in bars across the U.S. I didn't just work in Chicago. I worked in Vegas, Miami.
What did you see
Texas.
exactly?
I would see, for instance, a guy at the end of the bar, 5'5", maybe 5'6", would order shots for girls at the other end of the bar. Now, 5'6" is not a midget. Midget is like 4'11" people. So this guy is clearly,
it's little
you could
person
see him.
now, Torrie. Little person.
Sorry, teeny tiny. But I would go up to the girls like, hey, this guy in the blue shirt with the blonde hair bought you shots. Do you mind going up to him and saying thank you? Because it increases my tips. And they'd be like, who? Where? You ask any bartender this. They do not see them. It's not like they're short and they don't, like, I meant to be clear, like, it's not that they're below the bar. It's that they're not even on women's radar.
Wow.
So when you think about that and you see that time after time, I mean, I talk about bartending like it's capitalism for like drinks. Like it is just one after the other. I see all the dating app dates, first dates. I see all the interactions. Even during my downtime, I'm eavesdropping. But even when I'm busy, I'm eavesdropping. So when I say that women do not see men, I'm serious. So unless they have something about them, strong jawline, for instance, like they're not seeing these guys. It's very, very strange, but it makes sense when you think about women pick partners that are symmetrical, for instance, because it indicates good genes. Like, I don't know.
So this is where I have a little bit of trouble with the red pill. I think this is that one place. And I know that whenever I do post any content on what I'm about to say, I do get a lot of the red people going, nope, looks, money, status. Nope, looks, money, status. And so, first of all, I do believe and agree that women are visual. That is for sure. Like, I don't disagree with any of that per se, that a woman wants a strong jawline and a six-pack and a guy who's tall and all that stuff. That is, I mean, clearly true. However, I really think that if we compare men to women, and this is even talked about a lot inside of, this is not just my opinion, but talked about in books such as The Evolution of Desire by David Buss, is that while both sexes are, what'd you say?
I love that one.
It's great. While both sexes are visual, men are extremely more visual when it comes to attraction than women. And that there is such a heavier weight for women with behavior and confidence. So I do believe that that is something that is still so true. You know, what I tell guys is like...
Men have a lower attraction floor, though. Like
women's...
So men would happily... like David Buss talks about this, I believe, in that book.
I know what you're going to say, and you're right.
The mumble. Like, do you know? Like a woman, in order for a man to find her even like fuckable, let's say, I don't know what's a better word to use, she just has to be available. So it's like a woman maybe is so hideous he would never bring her out, but he would still have sex with her. For women, we don't really find most men attractive. Not to say that you can't get a girl. I'm just saying that when it comes to desirability, men aren't hitting that standard. But that doesn't mean that you can't get with a woman.
Right. That's kind of my point. Is like, for sure. I keep saying I agree. It's like, that's not the point of saying I agree. It's like, that's yes. Yep. It should just be like, yep. And men who aren't that physically attractive can still up their game and up their level to the place. It's funny because it's like some red pill people believe that as you go more black pill, those people are just like, nope, not a chance, like totally doomed.
Game is the winner.
But game is the winner. Everything I talk about on this podcast, like, and also, game, behavior, personality, all that to me is kind of like synonymous. Like having that attractive personality or a game, all that. It's just, it's...
Game is like huge.
Yeah. And I say this on the podcast. I said this before. My thing I say is, like, even I can't get a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a shot with her. And most men don't, because they're looking for the top of the top of the top. That guy needs to be like multi-millionaire, probably even a billionaire, needs to be at that level. But also, you can do things to attract a woman who's going to be of a higher caliber than you normally would be able to attract if you learned the right tools and techniques.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Again, I say that.
Well, your wife's beautiful, so I bet your viewers are going to be like, that's not fair. Your wife's a 10, you know? So it's like...
there's this... I'm not going to name names because I don't want to start fights. That's the one thing I stay away from in this community, is all the fucking fighting and bashing. Horrible. But there's this one YouTuber who... you probably don't even know him. He's not even a red pill person. He's just some dating coach dude. And he bashed me on YouTube out of nowhere, because that's what I guess he bashed some other people too. He bashed me on
his
YouTube.
Content. See how
Yeah,
long
that's
he
part of his
lasts.
content strategy.
Yeah.
And in the comments, someone stood up for me and said, "Well, dude, like Trip actually has a really cute girlfriend."
Yeah.
And his response was, "Yeah, she's probably after his money." Like, what? Like, okay. Like,
What?
first of all,
No,
it's like,
that's
it's like
not
you
how
know what
it
I mean?
works.
He has to like
Oh my God.
create something of like
The
why someone would want someone like me. It's like, nope, it's his money. Very almost red pill, which by the way, like, that's not like a thing. Like, I'm not this like multimillionaire person. You know what I
Right.
mean? Well, he's just saying words,
Yeah.
you know? And
People
it's-
will believe it. It's crazy what they believe on the
know.
internet. But I think, like, I tell guys the number one thing that you should go for in a girl is like to gauge how much she wants you. Like, what would you call that? Like, to see how it's like if you were broke and lived on the street, how much does she like you? Like, does that make sense? What am I trying to say?
I know, I'm
Like,
trying to figure it out. What do
don't
you
go
mean?
for women that aren't excited about you, that aren't highly interested in you.
Yeah, I
They're
preach
not
that. I
talking to
preach that a
you.
lot.
Yeah, so like a girl that gets married to a guy popular to red pill beliefs, I think, especially when they're attractive and your wife is, they're going for the genuine desire. And I think that's like the most important thing before money, because they know that like 50 years, 30 years, you're going to have a roommate. You want to like him.
Yep.
You want to
me
be
tell you
attracted
this.
to him.
If I didn't go through my evolution, because you don't know much about me, but I was former shy dude, like not good with women,
I had
super
anxiety,
nerdy.
social anxiety. I think we are the same.
Yeah, I definitely had anxiety.
Yeah.
If I didn't go through that evolution, not a chance I would be with my current wife. Not even a
Yeah.
chance. I would have no idea. Well, I just wouldn't have been confident. I wouldn't know what to say, how to handle a situation with the woman I found attractive. So it was everything to
no
me
joke.
that I learned this stuff.
And it's absolutely like learnable. I tell people all the time I had debilitating social anxiety, and bartending, the repetition, having to say hello to the customer. It sounds so stupid, but like having to learn banter and that stuff has set me up to have the success that I have had in terms of networking and relationships. But I absolutely empathize with people that struggle with it. Like, they're lucky that they live in this day and age where you can find the resources online. But even then, just saying the hello, it's scary. But
It is.
it's the most useful tool you can learn, you know?
So what about for you? You are 27.
Danger zone, baby. Represent.
You're in the danger. Tell the guys what the danger zone is. We're using a lot of jargon here.
Yeah. Danger zone is when women between the ages of 27 to 29 start to go through an awakening of, oh no, the lights at the club are going to turn on, aka I don't have much time to pick somebody and settle down with, or you start to wake up to that. I've been aware of this stuff since I was like 20, so there's that. But they say at 30 your options drop significantly, at least in terms of marrying. It makes sense
For a
'cause,
woman.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man, it's
They yell at me to get married already. They want me to, I'm going to be the girl that meets somebody 3 months, we get married. Like, I want somebody that I genuinely desire, because I was dating guys that I didn't genuinely desire. So it's been my main focus. Probably like, what
so
the
you're
fuck?
really actually going through what women are going through, though.
No, I'm still delusional, if that's what you mean. I just say it.
You're still
danger
delusional?
zone.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I live in delusion to protect the ego. Are you kidding?
I
Like,
love that you can admit that.
absolutely. I just made a TikTok. It was like, how
But
do
if
you
one
deal
can
with
admit
that?
delusion, is it still delusion?
It's actually, I looked that up the other day, and it was like something in terms of being dissociated and being able to think outside of I forget what they called it though. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, it sounds trippy. I
Out
like it. Some psychological trippy stuff here.
I've always been very aware of my behavior. Like, there was nothing that you could tell me that I didn't already know. And I mean, like, some uncomfortable stuff, you know? I don't know.
Like what?
Lack of effort. Even though in the moment I felt like I was giving effort, like I was able to step outside. Like, are you actually putting in effort? That, like, a guy will pretend, and I say pretend, but he will act like a husband, right, when you're dating. And guys do things like, I don't know, taking the snow off your car in the winter. What was I doing and adding to? Nothing. Nothing.
So then, therefore, what happened? Therefore, they broke up with you, or they simped and stayed with you?
I broke up with them.
Because
I don't really like to talk about my relationships, but I just...
You, as a woman in the red pill, you...
I know.
More than anybody, you have to.
The reason that I don't is because I truly believe in this. You got to give people enough room to... How do you say it? You have to give just enough to kind of throw it out there, let people grab onto it, but you can't give too much that if, let's say, one of my exes wanted to make a YouTube channel, there wasn't enough mystery for them to create their own narrative. I know that's probably like controversial. You're like, what? I'm like, no, I got to be a little bit more quiet in case, because that's their life, you know? Like, I don't want to give too much. I will say that I've been broken up with twice, so I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, one of the reasons was I didn't do shit. It was horrible. Not even horrible.
But why?
Just
why
miserable.
didn't you do shit?
Because I was in my prime. There's like, when
you're
in your prime.
Because you didn't have to.
Right. It just, I wasn't a developed human being. I don't know. Like, a lot of the stuff that I experienced when I was 22 to 24, that there's always something that shapes somebody, that happens in your life that really turns the whole thing upside down. And that didn't happen until I was like after the age of 21. And looking back, it's like, it doesn't even feel like the same person. When I think about 21, I'm just like, I just was a shit. I don't know. I just was mean.
But now you're hitting the wall.
No, oh, I see what you're saying. So, no, when I was 22, I was like more conscious of things I would say or things that I would do. I was always a wife, so it's hard. I don't want to put myself on like a pedestal. Like, I would do things that most people would be like, oh my God, she's perfect. But when it came down to things like sex, which I don't talk about on my channel, I was not there. I was like not having it, not doing it. I didn't like it. And I withheld it for sure. So
interesting.
It's a bad thing.
Is this from childhood traumas?
No, I grew up in a very stable household. I've tried to figure that out too. I'm always asked that question. Stable household, parents are still together, masculine father, feminine mother. But yeah, I didn't have childhood trauma. You could say I had adult trauma. But if anything, I had the tools to kind of do the best I could with the situation that happened. I think it's different when you're a kid because you're not really fully developed. So, I don't know.
Okay, so now, what are you looking for now? What do you want?
I want a ginger. I'm a redhead. I want redheaded babies.
Okay, so you want a ginger man in the form of what? A marriage?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've always wanted to be married. I want like a boring life. I do well in boredom. Like lot of women.
Is that you hitting the wall saying that?
No, I've always been this way.
You've always been
saying this for. I just could never find a ginger, but now that I'm on the internet, global sexual marketplace, baby.
I mean, as a woman, understanding red pill stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, such an advantage to be able to attract the type of man that you want, especially at your age. Really, at any age, still, I believe. If it's even more helpful for a 40-year-old, but
yeah.
But yeah, 27. Yeah. I mean, so what are you doing? Are you dating? Are you active? Are you not? Are you putting any energy into dating right now?
It's like, no, I'm very aware that I'm not, and I should, but I'm also trying to get this whole YouTube thing going and really grind it out. It's horrible.
Look what you're doing. You're doing the thing.
I know. And you know what? I will be the first one to be like necessity of virtue at 32. I'm going to act like it was my plan all along, for sure, if I don't get it done. But the problem is that, like, I just don't, I'm trying to create, income in order to give back to my dad. And that has been a big thing in my whole 20s. And just like after COVID, I mean, COVID took off my SMV 2 years. Think about it.
Yeah. Those are prime years, 25 to 27.
Yeah. And I wasn't bartending anymore. And when you bartend, you don't go out. You're not allowed. You have to work holidays. So like meeting people think, oh, it's a lot easier, but there's some stuff I'm working on behind the scenes, that will probably help facilitate not just my own dating life, but other people's. So
what do you mean?
Up. Oh, something like a...
Give a little more. Give a little bit more.
Like a matchmaking service type thing, but it's going to be dedicated to building marriages and like long-term stuff. So trying to plan out year in advance vacations with an entire group. Because I think like when it comes to meeting people, you really got to get to know them for like a weekend and kind of... It's the dating apps that I just don't think... I understand the purpose for dating apps, but I just don't think they're conducive. I've never met a dude off of a dating app. I've only used one for YouTube videos, and I just can't see how you would ever meet anybody that wants a relationship, that wants marriages.
I absolutely think that the dating apps I disagree. I think the dating apps for women are the most amazing resource available. The problem is, and you know this better than anybody, women are going for the top 10%, and those guys are what? Right? They're just banging all the girls, and they're not the guys to settle down with.
Yeah.
So, but then there's all these great guys on the dating apps who are not in the top 10%. Mm-hmm. And those guys would be amazing to be with.
So what I tell women, and my female audience is certainly growing. I have a larger community just from
awesome.
working in nightlife, and the turnover rate for women was just huge. So I have a large group, but still growing. It's like you tell them to swipe on guys you wouldn't normally swipe on, but the reality is that even that, they're going to think, oh, I'm swiping on a guy that I wouldn't normally swipe on, but there's something about it that is still going with that 10%, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
So if I tell women to stop looking at height, they're going to be like, I don't even look at height. But the reality is their behavior says otherwise. So I almost think that having a matchmaker that is vetting the people for you and vetting the women is going to be better. I just think that the apps, you're leaving too much control up to the opposite sex, like women, I would say. And I just don't think they even know how to seek out those guys. I know it seems stupid.
Well, what if we taught them? I mean, not us specifically, but if they were to learn, like, I mean, I don't know, if a female friend came to me, said, I need help, and I need to meet a guy, and she was above average, I'd be like, all right, let's do this. I know exactly what you should do, but I'd have a lot of tell her that she needs a lot of mindset shifts to do it. It won't be comfortable. Yeah, giving somebody the lead is probably, I've said it's equivalent to profound grief for women that are usually in their masculine, is a very serious
thing to give up, especially when you've been indoctrinated for however long. And I'm talking my age, from 18 to 27. They're very masculine in a lot of ways. And when you tell them, no, you need to not do that, it feels like death.
Whoa.
It really does.
This is,
yeah.
oh my God, this is like, this is like unplugging a female.
It is the most uncomfortable, to the point where they will probably react in, I hate to use the word trauma, but like a trauma response, something you would see like a child do. Like, no, we're not doing that. Like, if you tell a woman, no, we're doing this, you can either come or you don't, she will probably like, I've seen the worst. Okay.
Well, let's get more specific. Like, what would we, or you in this case, tell a woman to do to be more, let's say, I think we're on the same page here, like saying what you can do to be more attractive or to find the right man that would be uncomfortable for her?
I always put out this message that it's controversial, but you should.
Well, of course it's controversial, or else it wouldn't be easy to teach, right?
Yeah. I'm like, you should trust your instincts to choose, because we've evolved to the point where you choosing a partner is a lot safer than you think. People are going to tell you, don't give the power to the wrong guy. But actually, if you allow a man to lead, or you allow a man to take charge, you can trust your instincts that he's going to make the best decision for both of you. So what a lot of the messages are if he doesn't let you go here, he's a narcissist. So women are terrified just indefinitely to give up, to say, no, I'm going to do what he says. That in and of itself is just not socially acceptable. But when you tell them that you're giving the man the power to do good for both of you, that's the only time I've seen like a paradigm shift with them. They're like, okay. I'm like, if you, like, when you look at evolution, women choosing partners, we're good at it. The reason you're choosing bad partners is because you're hurt by probably some game he was doing. And that's a harsh reality, because women don't want to be fooled. It's
right.
it's a can of worms.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
No, it really is. Also, I remember, you know the book The Rules?
The Rules.
The Rules. It's dating advice for women.
Oh God, how is it?
Well, I think it's pretty solid. It's really controversial.
Really?
It's teaching women game, basically.
There's girl game.
And it's great. I mean, a lot of the talk is about how to be more feminine.
Mm-hmm. And I hate the whole dress thing. Like the put on a dress. It's not that easy for women nowadays, but it certainly helps if you do it for
Why isn't it?
day.
Why not?
You can't put on a dress and expect a woman to be feminine. She might look the part, but that doesn't fix that inner part.
100%. Right. But it's a start, no?
Yeah, I've definitely said throw out all your pants. Wear only dresses. And I go there. I'm not like, you can't just, a lot of our problem is we have women that are spending money on makeup and hair and all, looking the part. I mean, you go on Instagram, they look the part, but it's not teaching them to be feminine. Like, you need to learn how to cook. You need to give the guy wife duties right from the start. Like, you are bacon for this guy right away. Like, that's what I tell them. I don't know if that's good advice or not, but
it's just sad that, you say that, and even I'm still conditioned to feel uncomfortable by what you're saying. I'm just being honest right now. It's like,
because you could get involved with the wrong dude, right?
Well, no, I just mean like the things that you're saying are anti-feminist.
I'm for women though. I will always be sisterhood.
Anti-third wave feminism is what I mean.
Right.
You say this to your modern 23-year-old boss woman, and she's going to be like, "What? No, da da da." And it's like,
we had it so good. You do realize, like, we had it so good. Like, whoever made us get jobs, your mom's a hoe. We had it good. we could have been in the house. Roombas were coming. We had so much coming. We had it good.
So what happened?
We put women in the workforce in order to. That's another.
Well, they
after
wanted
World
to
War
be in the
II.
workforce.
No, they didn't. You look back at the propaganda. It says emasculate men, get in the workforce. I was like, what?
But if men were controlling everything at the time, who's putting out that message?
Right.
No, what's the answer?
I don't have an answer for you. Like, you think that it's. I used to say this, and I don't know how much I believe it now, but behind every campaign is a guy trying to get sex with his girlfriend. So even the elites.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
So simping. So men simping.
The guys at the top simp the most. Don't be fooled. They're the biggest simps. They might be alpha in their work, but they ain't alpha anywhere else.
Wow.
Just saying. Yeah.
No,
but there's
I hear you.
And they know that women are the consumers. When you pick up on that and you see that these are the numbers, you need to appeal to the feminine. What better way than telling them they never had rights? It was a man behind it all, you know. Women, even feminists now, it sounds like they think that men just controlled everything in sort of like totalitarian way. It's just like crazy. I don't know.
One of the things that has been interesting for me as I'm learning more about red pill and female nature, male nature, all that, is the stuff that Rollo Tomasi says, the fact that we're actually not living in a patriarchy, and that it's quite the opposite. That I forgot the term he uses, we're living in more of a female-centric world.
Gynocentric social order.
Yeah, that's it. Gynocentric social order. But
Appealing
we
to
just
the
don't really
feminine.
realize it. And when he says that and explains it and talks about and gives examples, I'm just like, whoa, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He
like
predicted
really,
this shit.
Like, it's crazy. Can you give some examples of that? Because I'm still learning about it. What are some examples of us living in a gynocentric world?
So there's this thing that Rollo talks about. It's like the mystique of women. And it's that we view women as these secretive creatures that hold all the knowledge. You see it when things like ayahuasca are named after the mother plant. I know this is a little crazy. Or you see it when women are like, what's your sign? With astrology, we call it chick crack. And it's like women hold this mysterious knowledge that men don't know. So we must appeal to the feminine because they know more. It's almost like we are viewing women as God. It's almost like we kind of dissolved a nation of religion. So in order to kind of survive, we're kind of looking at females as taking over that power. You have men, simps, for instance, or that have the you-know-what addiction, corn addiction, that view women as goddesses. It's the goddess era. They view women as just these perfect beings. So they can't possibly be wrong. It's been over years. I mean, you see it, so you won't be able to unsee it. But I think that when it's a gynocentric social order and we live in a capitalistic nation, and women make up most of the consumer reports or whatever, why wouldn't we appeal to the feminine? You could say that it's because of money. You could say, I think it's for money, but it's almost a Marxist view of it, and I don't really want to go down that road. But when you think about how we got women into the workforce and how we incentivize them to be single and childless, you can't help but see it that way. You can't help but see it in this monetary way. They've commodified women. So I don't know. If you really want to make money, you open up a fertility clinic. Because women are holding out. They're holding out. They don't teach you you have the option to be a wife at 18. They put you through school. And it just gets worse from there.
Get a job, work, and Man, you know, I see in social media all this sector of women that are so honest. They're actually like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, we
Like
hate
society
it.
is making me feel like I want to do this, and I don't want to do this.
We're not biologically hardwired for it.
For like
we forget that part.
Yeah, that masculine drive to succeed and to work, like, and to have goals.
To get the berries, to bring the berries home is what I call it. We don't have millions upon millions of years of evolution in us to do that. So now we're like, women are like, I hate to say slaves, but most women can't keep up with this. You see it at like, you know, there's obviously women that are absolutely competent to do it, but a lot of women, there's a version you see on social media, but how they're actually living is not that. It's like, we're not coping well.
Here's a thought too. I was thinking about this as we were talking about this. I was thinking about some of my female friends, like, you know, my wife's friends and the women in my social circle, and I'm just thinking about them and their attitudes towards things, and it's like deep down in my gut, and I'm going to test this out by just doing my own little research and people that I know. But in like my gut, I know that if I were to go to any of the females that I know and say to them, hey, I'm going to present to you, just hypothetically, you don't have to work for money.
I know it. Yeah.
Okay?
I know
you don't have to work
going.
for money. You have a husband who's taking care of all the bills. Are you going to choose to keep bossing the way you're doing? Okay. I bet you most of them would say, no, that sounds great. I'm down for that. Or there's going to be ones, because I've heard this before. They say, well, no, I just don't want to like do nothing all day and be a housewife. I want to like still go to work. But then you know what you can say to them? You can say, okay, no, listen. What?
Side hustle.
Yeah, or like,
hustle.
or just like hobbies. Like if you could just do.
They don't get it. They don't. Women act like they have hobbies and they don't. You ask a woman on a first date, what are your hobbies? She'll come up with some shit, but she's not being honest.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I wasn't going that route. I would say they probably would want to do some hobbies, but the point is, like, if you give them that option, they would still, that's their like, oh no, I just want to do that. They replace, like, they think it's got to be something for money, but then if you give them that option of, let's just pretend you don't have to make the money, and instead of doing a little side hustle, you could just do some fun things and do other hobbies, they'd be like, okay, now I'm down. Again, I think that most women are not.
You got to present the deal the right way.
You got to present the deal
the right way. You still have value as a human being.
Because that's now society is telling them they have to have. I feel bad for women these days. I really do. You guys have to have it all.
Yeah, the reality is, though, we can't. We're at the point now where we're kind of riding the downfall, because you cannot function without two incomes coming in. So although it's nice to say that,
it's true.
It's not the reality. The women that divorce the men the most are stay-at-home moms. So
I heard that.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like, how do we fix this? And it's the babies is certainly the first step, but women right now are really scared. You know, the Roe versus Wade thing. I worked in a women's shelter, and I know a lot. I'm not going to say anything too much. If you want to go to my channel at Torsha, I've talked about it, but I've seen both sides of it. And I think adjusting, women they're going to be saying a lot of crazy shit. They're going to say, how dare men, but they'll adjust to it. And I think it's the right step, I guess. I don't know. It all came at once for women. So they're really freaked out now. We're scared. It's our sexual strategy. We're terrified.
It is. Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. Sexual strategy.
Yeah.
I was going to say this too, is with the whole female and male nature, you know, you said a second ago, if you give them the right deal, they'll be down. For men, if you were to say what I just said to most men, there is no real good deal. You'll get a guy once in a while who probably say like, huh, amazing. Yeah, no problem. I'll be a stay-at-home dad. Woman works. That's fine. I think you'll get that like
We're seeing a lot of it on
as an
TikTok.
outlier.
Yeah, I see it a lot. I don't know. I think we've switched roles, unfortunately.
Really?
But I keep telling men, you're the ones that have it ingrained for millions of years. Act right. You know, burden of performance. Fuck y'all. Like I'm still a girl's girl. I gotta advocate for them. You know.
No,
No,
I hear you. But don't you
Yeah.
think that most guys would be like
dad.
uncomfortable with that?
Stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, well, I just think like they need
I
something.
hope so.
They need goals.
They
I mean,
do.
I hear what you're saying and how so many roles are being switched now because of
Feminism.
the gynocentric
social order.
order.
Female imperative.
My point is that I think it's more like for a man. I mean, if someone said that to me, not a chance. You couldn't give me any deal. Like, I even think sometimes about, we all kind of have these little fantasies about winning the lottery. And
Yeah.
I think about that. Like, I'll have a once in a while, I think, what if I were just handed $100 million right now?
You would
And
still work.
I would
see
have
it.
to do something. And
I know.
more so than this, I almost, for real, I don't want to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Like, life would become really, to me, quite meaningless.
And that's how women feel when you tell them to be stay-at-home moms. That's how they feel. It's the same thing. It's just the difference is, like, there's a difference between the firmware and the software. So women don't even know what it's like to be a stay-at-home mom.
What the
Think about
firmware
it.
does. The firmware does.
Yeah. So that does. But I think we've indoctrinated women so heavily, so early that even the thought of having kids repulses a lot of them. Unfortunately, I think we
Wow.
see a lot more women coming into STEM careers. I think there's a lot more more autism prevalent in women now, or it's getting diagnosed more, and that can sometimes cause them to lack the ability to have interpersonal relationships that are good, I guess. Not saying they can't. I'm just saying it's definitely, it inhibits them. Is that the right word? I don't know. There's a lot. It's very complicated when it comes to talking to the overall. It's hard.
And the studies of women, along with what you're saying, and now the studies of women being so much unhappier.
Yeah, we hate it. I say we so that women don't come after me. I'm like, I'm here too, bitch. Like, I'm in
Unhappy,
this-
but not knowing even where it's coming from.
Right. And men are taking themselves out of the gene pool when they don't
Yep.
feel useful. That's people are like, men and women have the same attempt at suicide, and I'm like, but men they go through with it on a higher level, and when men don't feel useful, they take themselves out of the gene pool. We know this amongst chimps. And it's really sad. Like when women are like, I don't need a man, I just want a man. I'm like, try flipping it and watch what happens. Tell a man you need him, because he'll take that like it's gold.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, you got to give them the responsibility. They'll protect it with all costs. Believe it or not, even the fuck boys. Seriously,
Yeah.
you can change a fuck boy. You really can. You just got to give them that
That's
role.
your new book.
Yeah.
I think I would tell women to just avoid those guys.
I
Not
would
try to
too,
change
but
him.
but it's easier to take a fuck boy and turn him into husband material and allow that relationship to last than it is to find a guy that is more so on the simpier side. Because once a woman doesn't respect you, you might as well just get the prenup and the divorce papers like ready, because it's not
Yeah.
gonna last.
It's interesting too because the whole cliche about as you get into a deeper marriage, women nagging the man. It's funny because that's so unattractive for a man to be nagged by his wife.
It's
But
hypergamy.
the women are the ones who are initiating all the divorces. I would think that the men would be because of
Well,
something
there's-
like that.
there's more for men to lose. So when you look, assuming that
good point. I didn't think about that.
Parties, assuming that both parties didn't have like a disadvantage, I think men would actually probably be higher on that statistic than. I think men are. I don't know if men are just more willing to hold out. 'Cause, see, now I'm contradicting myself. I don't know if it's because of divorce and being. Like, you never sign a contract with someone who benefits from breaking the contract, right? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I feel bad for men.
I feel bad for men. I feel bad for women. This is why this podcast exists. This is why your YouTube channel exists. Torrie, long lost sister.
Red pill cis.
Red pill cis. Even though, again, I don't like label myself as red pill, even though I do believe a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it helps, though, for people looking for that specific material. That's how I look at it, because it's certainly not going to be recommended. You and I might pop up a little bit more in people's suggested feed, like if you're not really labeling it that.
I know, but there's just something about part of that community that I don't like, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like polarizing for me. It's like some of these people.
It's good dialogue.
It is good dialogue. I guess it's, I'm still learning about it. Or I guess they would say unplugging, you know.
We need people like you, though, to attach to it and grow so that women can actually hear the message. Because they're not going to hear it when it's coming from angry men talking about how they want to plant the seed in anything that moves, you know.
Well, I don't speak to women. I speak to men, but I know that there are women who do listen to my content. I'm having a lot of women who are finding me on Instagram now because I'm putting out a lot of Instagram reels, and they're coming to me asking for advice, and I'm like, I could give it to you, but I don't do that. It's just not it's not in the Trip Advice wheelhouse at the moment. But well, actually, that's not true. I do have a relationship podcast.
Do you?
And that I do. It's called Relationships.
Where do you promote it?
I don't promote it.
Yeah, you don't.
I have on here. It just exists. Mm-hmm. So it's on all the podcast platforms. It's me and a friend of mine who's a dating coach for women. If you listen to that, you would, I get real red pill on there. I don't say the terms, but like.
I'll react to it. It's one of my favorite things.
Oh, you should. Well, it's not on video. It's just just audio, but
perfect.
Check it out. Relationships. Relationships are underrated. What'd you say?
I'm like, perfect. It'll just be me. I've been talking about narcissism in dating right now, and I'm like, it's just my face, you know, while we listen to you. I was kidding, though.
Amazing.
I hate women.
No, you don't.
I don't. I love them. They're just being little shits right now.
Yeah,
you know?
It's tough.
Torrie, men aren't easy either.
What'd you say?
I'm like, men aren't easy either. I'll say that.
I think we're easy.
Easier.
I think we're easy AF.
Yeah, that's what y'all say.
We're simple.
We are the ones that come up with ulterior motives for y'all, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I get just the guys who listen to this podcast, just a bunch of good dudes who just want to just get laid or get a girlfriend, you know, and guys just like me. There's so many of us out there, and women don't see us because they don't see us at the bar, and they don't see us in online dating, and they're missing out on what could be the best relationship of their lives, assuming that they don't end up with a simp.
Yeah, men gotta command presence.
That's what we're trying to do over here. All right, where do you want people to follow you? Where do you want people to check out your YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's my main goal, is to grow there. But I'm also on TikTok at Torsia Podcast, and then Instagram. Oh no, she has an Instagram at Torsia. It's controversial here.
We're going to put the Instagram, the TikTok, and your YouTube channel links in the show notes. And glad we made this happen. I appreciate you coming on here.
Me too. Yeah, me too. It was a lot of fun finally talking to more red pill people, you know.
You can tell all your red pill friends that they can. I had Sterling Cooper on. I tried to get Rolo on. Didn't get a response, but that was several years ago.
I'll ask him.
See if he wants to come on.
Yeah, I will.
It'll be a fun
I think
conversation.
that's where you'll get really like the background, the terminology. And Ryan Stone is another really good one, underratedly. It's like
Okay.
what we joke around. He's great.
Okay. You're going to hook me up.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah, I
sound good?
will. Yeah, say no more.
All right. Guys,
Thank you for having me on.
check out Torrie's stuff. You're so welcome. It was awesome
Thanks.
talking to you, and I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Yay. Okay, bye.